Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here, my name's Katie and I'm an artist and illustrator living on the south coast of England. Today I'm going to be doing a sketchbook tour of my A5 Royal Talens sketchbook, and I started this back in the summer, about a month into my daily art challenge. I'm in quite a few sketchbooks at the moment, so I'm also working in some A4 ones, an A3 one, a tiny 12x12cm one, and I've just recorded a video which is for my patrons only, so that's a Patreon exclusive. And I also show through a sketchbook which I don't share anywhere online, so if you're interested in seeing how I work in other sizes or want to see more of my sketchbooks, then Patreon is the best place, and the beginning of each month is the perfect time to sign up, so we're only a couple of days away from that, and I'll pop a link down below if you're interested. But like I said, I'm just going to be showing through a flip through of my A5 one. These Talens sketchbooks have a lot of pages in, so I'm not going to show you as far as I've got so far. I'm going to do it till halfway, and then in half a year or so I'll probably finish it because I'm hoping this will be done by then, and then I can do the other half later in the year. I also just want to say that I know I don't use this sketchbook very traditionally. I know sketchbooks are often full of doodles and scraps, and that's how I used to use my sketchbooks, but I just want to preface the video by saying that there is a lot of finished artwork in here, and I don't use this in a conventional way. So please don't feel bad if your sketchbooks don't look as finished or tidy as this. This is basically where I put my finished pieces for my daily art challenge. So please don't compare or anything. This is basically not a sketchbook, it's just got a lot of finished artwork in here. And I am hoping to change my sketchbook practice up a little bit and get an ugly sketchbook for all the bits which I wouldn't normally share. It's going to be relatively chatty, and I'll talk through all the pieces. A lot of them you'll have seen in my daily art challenge recaps, but there are a few bits in here that I haven't shared, and I hope you enjoy it. So I started this sketchbook in September 2021, and I started my daily art challenge in August. So this is about a month through the daily art challenge, and most of the things in here are the pieces that I've shared for that. So the first one I did was, I started this sketchbook and took it with me when we went on holiday. So we went on a trip to Wiltshire, and for one of the days we visited Bristol, and this is a little cafe that we visited. We sat in here and had a drink and a cake, and that was really nice. And this is just done with a Muji pen and some Prismacolor pencils. And then this is where we stayed. So this is Castle Combe in the Cotswolds. So it's right at the bottom of the Cotswolds. And I took a picture when we walked into the village, and then I did this back at the house afterwards. And then this is done with NeoColors and Prismacolor pencils as well, but there's no fine liner or any sketching done beforehand. It's just done with the colours straight in. So that trip gave me a lot of inspiration, and I took a lot of photos when we did a lot of walks. And these were some photos I took of all the nature and berries and leaves that I saw on those walks. I was planning on filling the whole page, but this is all I managed to do, and I didn't get around to going back and filling it up. But this was again without any sketching and just using NeoColors to block out the colours and the shapes. This was another one referenced from a photo I took of these daisies. This was done with gouache, and I just used a flathead brush and blocked in the colours, and then added on some Prismacolor pencil details on top. Then we went on a trip, I think this is October now, we went to London. So I started this quite near the end of September, and then this is one that I shared for the Daily Art Challenge. This is just a coloured pencil study of Nelson's column. And then these are two which I didn't share on Instagram as part of the Daily Art Challenge. This was just using some photos from my camera roll, and I drew these back at the hotel. And these are just done with I think it's a Pilot brush pen. I quite like this one. I don't think this one worked as well with the water, but I really like the simpleness of this one and how it contrasts with like the softness of this one. Then this one is my first plein air drawing that I did in the sketchbook. So this was in Green's Park in London, and I just sat on a bench. I had my little pouch of NeoColors with me, so that pouch has a few NeoColors, some Tombow markers and some Prismacolor pencils, and this is done with that, so no sketching again, but you can see like I did the lamppost and the tree with Prismacolor Pencils, and then the rest of it's blocked in with NeoColors. And I was really focusing on the light here. I really liked the way that the light was casting these shadows, and so I just sort of did the opposite bits in this really nice lime green / yellow NeoColor. Then I did this study of this plant, which is a hawk bit, and I really like this. I think it came out really nicely. This was done first with gouache, and then I went over the top with Prismacolor Pencils, which is how I prefer to work. And then I added in the purple in the background with a mild liner. And then this obviously looks like a dandelion, and I thought it was interesting that it wasn't, so I just did this little study of the difference in leaves over here on the right. And this is the first piece in the sketchbook that's done with acrylic paint. And this was done in tandem with another piece in my A4 sketchbook. So I was working on the two at the same time. I really like this one. I really love the textures that the acrylic's given at the bottom. And just like you can see the brush marks in a lot of the fields. And I think this one looks really nice. I also added in a bit of pink detailing with NeoColors, which I think really adds to this page. This was when I just joined Emma Carlisle's Patreon, and this was one of her drawing challenges. So this is Emma's reference of this cat she had, and then this is a reference of some bits on my desk. So this one is done without any sketching first, just going in with paint and sort of blocking out the shapes first. So I did like the light blue first, and then I went in with Prismacolor Pencils, went around the cat with the gouache, and then filled in the background with a NeoColor. And then I did this one, which again was like blocked out the shape with the gouache first, and then went in with the Prismacolor Pencils over the top. And I really like this spread. I really like the warmth of the colours. Then the study of two birds, which is referenced from a book by Derrick Boatman, and I'll link any of the references that I've used down below. And this one was quite simple. This is one that I've shared in my daily recap recently because I could really see a difference in how I've moved on from this point, which I thought was interesting. So this was done with gouache, again no sketching first, and then added Prismacolor pencil details on top. So this is how I kind of want to use my sketchbook. So it's a bit less like finished and a bit more trying out different trees and colours, and I really like this one. This one I'm not quite so happy with. It's very saturated and it's quite thick, like the gouache. So it doesn't really feel like mine, but I do like the colours that I've used there. That's not something I usually do. And then, like I said, I'm really pleased with this still life. This was on a day that I wasn't feeling very creative, so I'm really happy with the end result on that one. Then this one was an experiment. You can see like I did the gouache first. So I just did this block of green because I had this fern in the garden, and I just thought it would be interesting to see how it would work if I then drew the shape on top of this blob of paint. And I really like this one. It was a really good experiment, and I'm happy with how like the fern shapes came out. And this was a still here, still life study. It's getting quite grubby now because this was done with gouache and NeoColor, so it's definitely smudging, and I haven't sealed this at all. But this one was a lot of fun and very different to what I normally draw. So this one I'm not very happy with, but it was interesting to sort of do such autumnal colours and then try and see how I would cope with the reflection. So obviously down here it's a lot more blended. And then this one was when I got some new Tombows and I wanted to try them out. I just bought some from Cold Pens, and so like I don't think I really did very well on the camper van. It kind of looks like it's floating, but I do like the colours on this one, and it was also the first time I'd bought an Ecoline brush pen, which is what this green is down here, so I was trying that out in this sketchbook. I think this is the first time I've drawn in panels, and this was done as a Google Maps study. I think this is in Finland, and this one was really fun. I really love drawing houses, especially coloured ones with like sliding, and I'm really happy with this whole page. I think it's really colourful, and it worked quite well because I was just using like one colour for the sky and a couple of greens for the background, so I was quite limited in my colour palette, whereas now I've got a lot more Tombows, so it's harder to do something like this, unless I purposefully limit my colour palette. Then because I enjoyed drawing buildings so much, I did a few more. This was inspired by an article about abandoned houses, and these I just took 10 minutes on each, So quite a quick spread, and this is done with Tombows and Prismacolor pencils and a bit of NeoColor. So when I'm feeling a bit more creatively challenged, sometimes I find timed sketches and time challenges work really well to get me out of that rut. Then I was experimenting with panels again, but this time I did something a little different, and I don't often draw people, so it was nice to push myself a bit there. And I'm quite happy with the colours on this one. It feels very autumnal, and I like the light down here, and it just feels quite different for me, but I think it's quite effective. And this one is a study of different plants. This one wasn't my reference, but I'm really happy with how it came out. It feels a lot neater than how I would normally do it, especially like some of the shapes here. Then this one was done plein air again, so this was at my local nature reserve, and I think I filmed this in a vlog. I don't often like my plein air pieces, but I do like knowing that I did it plein air and with the view in front of me. So although I'm never usually happy with how it comes out, I do like the feelings it brings with it. And I was really happy with this one, so I did a week vlog for this one, which I can link down below so you can see some of the process for these. I'm really happy with this one. This was quite loose, but really happy with this tree. And this again was done on a Google Maps session where I just went up to the Lake District and then popped the pin down and just drew the view that was in front of me. Then this is a spread which isn't part of the Daily Art Challenge, and I haven't shared it anywhere. These were again some still life studies, and I don't like this. It's very pastel, very muted, and I didn't think it was good enough to share. And this was just before Folktale Week, so again I didn't share this, but this was more testing out media. This is done with acrylics and then some NeoColor pastels. So I was going to go into this and refine it a bit more, but I then decided to do it in my A4 sketchbook for Folktale Week, so I just left it as it is. This is another view done plein air. This was on a drawing date with a friend, and again, like I said, I'm not happy with this one. I don't like the ones I usually do plein air. I did take my paints with me, but I don't use it when I'm outside in the way I do here, which is quite interesting. So I usually rely a lot more on pencils and NeoColors, and you can really see the texture there. And obviously I didn't fill in the water, so I think it looks a bit odd. And this is another still here, still life piece. Very vibrant, very bold. So it does feel quite different for me, but I really like the fun that comes from this spread, and I do like some of the textures as well. So this page I did share. This was part of the Daily Art Challenge, but this one I didn't. So I was really happy with these. This was a really quick page, I think 5 minutes or so, just putting down some shapes with gouache and then going over the top with the outlines. I think I preferred it without the outlines, but I do like that they're in a contrast colour. And then this one, this kind of feels like my very old art when I was a teenager. So I'm not happy with this one, and it's not something that I'd want to share because it doesn't feel very me, or even where I want my art to be. This is a spread when I was experimenting a little bit with collage. So it started as a study of a view in Rome, and then it felt really plain with this big road in the middle, and obviously it felt a bit like it was lacking in life. So I added in these cards which are cut from my paint palette sheets, and I think that really helps add some life to the piece, and I was really happy with that addition. Sometimes when I'm stuck with ideas, I'll go back through my sketchbook, and that's what I did here because I saw the panel page and I wanted to try it again. So these are using Mapcrunch, which is a random generator for Google Maps, and I just spent 5 minutes on each of these. So they're very messy and very quick, but I think that really helps add some energy to the sketches, and again I'm happy with the colours as well. This was done again with a Patreon session with Emma Carlisle, and this is just a view of the Penguin Post Office in Antarctica. And I definitely didn't like this when I was doing it. It felt very rushed and messy, but I like it a lot more now I've had some distance from it. And then this one, again, another Google Maps study. I really like using Google Maps to find views I wouldn't normally do. This is in Japan, and the Google Maps guy was just following this guy on a bike down the hill. So I wouldn't normally add in something like this, but I think it really adds some narrative to this page, which is done with gouache coloured pencils and some Tombows. And this was another collage experiment, so underneath the blueberries there's nothing there. So I kind of worked around the space where the blueberries would be with the leaves, and then I cut up my paint palette sheets and added them in on top. I'm really happy with this one. I really like the colours and the tones, and this was a point where I was really integrating the collage into my painting, and I was really happy with the result. And then this one was a study from a book, and I'm not happy with this one, but I do like some of the textures. This was definitely on a creatively off page, but like I said, I do like some of the layering with the Tombows over the coloured pencil here. Then this was another piece which I did in tandem with an A4 spread. So I sometimes draw the same view twice at the same time. And I really like this one. I love the vibrancy of the greens. I like the pops of pink. And again, this was done from Google Maps. This is down in Devon. And I like the telegraph line. I'm really enjoying adding layers into my paintings. I think it really adds some realism. And this one was very different for me. I think this was a prompt challenge for Christmas market. And yeah, it's very different for me. You can see it really stands out from some of my other things. It's very graphic, and so I don't really know how I feel about this one, but it definitely stands out, and I do like the colours and the stars in the sky. This next one is one of my least favourite things I've ever done, and I'm really unhappy with it in this sketchbook, so I was tempted to cover it up and collage over it, but I've left it in there, but definitely not something I was happy with sharing for the Daily Art Challenge, and I still hate it now. I'm really unhappy with the paleness of the bushes in the front, and it's just too busy. Then another one which was really quick. This was only 10 minutes, and this is again a Mapcrunch study, but it felt very dirty and messy when I did it, and I still don't really like it. I think I'm always trying to achieve looseness with my work, but this goes too far in that and is too loose for my liking, but I do like some of the little penguins over here. Then this is my first spread of birds, which I definitely do a lot more of in the sketchbook. I was really happy with these. Really like the colours and the boldness of some of these, and their little characters that come through, so I was really happy with this spread. And again, this wasn't done with sketching. I really enjoy not sketching first because I find that really tightens me up. So I like to just go in with paint and then add the pencil details around it and on top. This was a spread which I did share for my Daily Art Challenge, but I wasn't sure whether I should, because again, this is very different for me, but this whole Daily Art Challenge is to push me creatively and experiment, and this definitely was that. Pastel shades and these colours aren't what I normally go for, and I did edit this quite a bit for Instagram, but I just felt like it needs a focus. Obviously, we've got the frog over here, which I'm really happy with his expression, but it needs something here in the background, and I wasn't sure how to add that in whilst it still looked like a background, so I just left it in the end. Then this was after I changed the rules for my Daily Art Challenge, and I wanted it to be more like a sketchbook, but I've actually decided to get another sketchbook for that now. So this was definitely my inspiration for that day, and I just had a hot chocolate box which I'd got for Christmas, and I was really interested in the typography, and so I decided to fill that there. And I always meant to come back here and fill this spread, but I never did, so that's just blank. And then this was a challenge where I drew this one upside down. So it's the exact same scene which I got from a copyright-free site. I did this one first, and then I did this one this way up, and it was a real test for my brain to work out the perspective and things of doing it upside down. So you can see this is wrong, this should have been going the other way, like this. But it definitely adds a lot of character, and I don't hate this one. I think it feels very whimsical and naive, which is something I'm always trying to strive for in my drawings, and I think it does come through with this upside down drawing. I'm really happy with this fish. This was inspired by a crossword answer. This is the red ear sunfish, and I've definitely made it a lot more colourful than it is in real life. But I was just really happy with this one. It was a definite moment of inspiration. This is done all with NeoColor Pastels, and then I went around the edge with gouache, and I didn't mix it first, so I mixed it on the page, and I really like the roughness and texture that adds. And then this one marks halfway, so this is where I'm going to end the sketchbook tour. But this was my first swatch page I've ever done in any sketchbooks, and I think this is a really good thing to do if you're not feeling very creative but still want to do something that flexes that creativity muscle and still wants to create something. And it worked really well for the Daily Art Challenge, and I'm really happy with this spread. It kind of documents my favourite colours, and I was really surprised by how well this performed on Instagram. But it's just a very satisfying page, and I really like the colours on this. So yeah, that one marks halfway, and I'm definitely further through than I thought. I meant to do this exactly on halfway, but I'd say that I'm probably 3/4 of the way through this sketchbook, so the rest of the sketchbook tour should be coming in a few months. But I'm going to go back to the outro now and say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed seeing the flip through of this one, and that maybe you found some inspiration for your own artwork. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of these are for my Daily Art Challenge, and if you want to see them as I post every day, then the best place to follow me is over on Instagram. But I also do the art recaps every couple of weeks here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with a new YouTube video. See you later.